Hi, I'm Jillian, and thank you for joining me. I developed this unit of study for a small, independent, or private school in a large urban center in Ontario, Canada, and it's been used in several grade 4 classes now, including a class that had students with significant behavioral and academic challenges. Overall, it was a success, so I wanted to share it more broadly, and I welcome your comments and feedback. I will be showing you the keynote slides that we used. There's a lot of room for customization, and I think it's important for teachers to do that in order to accommodate and address particularities of their personal manner and teaching style, of their classroom and school context, and of the community that the school serves. Before we begin, here are a couple of administrative notes. Firstly, there are 5 lessons: Language Matters, Bullying, Admirable People, My Story, and finally, the cleverly titled Wrap Up. I recorded a separate video for each and created a playlist. Second, most of the lessons require more than one session to complete, so I will let you know where we took breaks and how long each session was. And finally, each student received a personal folder with the worksheets that they would need. This enabled them to keep things in order so that they could consult previous notes for some of the activities and share their thoughts and reflections at home. So let's begin with Lesson 1. The first lesson introduces some of the language that we use when we talk about character and morality. There were 2 sessions. We did the first in a half period, so about 20 minutes, and then the rest took a full period, which was about 45 minutes. We didn't give any context for the unit before beginning, so we did not show this title slide just yet. We didn't want to give anything away, as you will shortly appreciate. We actually started then with the next slide. As these words appeared, the students called them out. You might want to change a few to make them relevant to your context. For example, if you aren't in Canada, the Terry Fox run might not be relevant, and your school might not have a peer mediation program. In answering the question, what do these have in common, we were looking for thoughts along the line of being a good person, showing or developing good character. We had a casual discussion around 2 follow-up questions. The first, what does it mean to have good character? And the answer that we were looking for should include being a good person in action, behaviors, words, interactions, relationships, attitudes, thoughts. The second question, why is it important to have good character? For this year, for next year, for life? And the answer again, something about success, happiness, contribution to classroom, school, community, and society, healthy relationships. These questions anticipated some of the discussions that were to come. As each word appeared, the students called it out. We explained, these are character traits, the specifics of good character. They're also called values, moral values, ethical values, qualities, or even virtues. And we'll probably use all of these terms interchangeably, but mostly we'll use the words traits and values. Then we had a casual conversation around a couple of questions. First one was, which traits seem particularly important to you and why? The second question, are any of them represented in the posters around the classroom, and which ones? So for example, there was a poster on the wall that said the expert in anything was once a beginner, and that implied traits of perseverance, hard work, patience, maybe even courage. And the last question was, what other traits or values have you heard about that aren't on this list? Maybe from our novel study, from behavior reminders that you've had, from rules, from your family. And if any of those are identified or connected to any of the ones on the list. Then we asked the students to guess the topic of this unit, and we formally introduced the first lesson. Now it was time to establish some context for the unit. We told the students, we're going to explore themes related to good character by reflecting on our own characters. That this was not about judging other people, it was about judging yourself, but that they would be asked to speculate on what other people might think of them. These two perspectives, self-knowledge and speculating on other people's thoughts of you, run through the unit, but the focus is always on one's own character. And we remind the students of this at the beginning of each lesson. We ask them now to take a few minutes to think about 3 questions. As each question appeared, the students took turns reading aloud. How would you describe your character? How do you think others would describe your character? How do you want others to describe your character? I prepared a simple worksheet for these reflections to be recorded on, but it was made clear that they would not be sharing the reflections, that this was for their own private knowledge of themselves. But they would be keeping this sheet in their folder to review in other lessons, so it was important that they filled it in thoroughly. And after some quiet time, allowing them to reflect on this, we ended the first session of Lesson 1. The second session of Lesson 1 took a full period, so around 45 minutes. We told the students that last time we talked about character traits or values, and that there is a connection between character and behavior. How you behave tells others about your character, what you're like as a person. And your character guides your behavior, what you choose to do and how you choose to act. The character traits, for example, patience, sensitivity, honesty, diligence, are the particulars or the specifics of your character and your behavior. Then we did an activity to demonstrate this link between character and behavior. We used a series of posters that the teacher already had called Be in Control. The posters contained the following messages. Be ready to compromise and meet in the middle. Be willing to listen to each other. Be willing to apologize. Be ready to make a plan together. Be able to control your anger. Be able to walk away and choose something new. Be able to ignore unkind words. Be willing to discuss the problem. Each poster implies particular character traits. So for example, be willing to apologize implies humility, honesty, and fairness. Be willing to listen to each other is about fairness, respect, and patience. Each group of 4 students received one of the posters. The task was to address this question. What character traits are associated with the behavior on your poster? And then to prepare a 2 to 3 minute skit that leads to the solution on your poster. We used the Be Ready to Make a Plan Together poster to demonstrate. For the first question, traits might include cooperation, collaboration, helpfulness, and trust. Then we asked, what might we do as a skit for this poster? And the students gave a few suggestions. Before releasing them to work in their groups, we gave some instructions on behavior during group work, saying, in this unit, we're not only talking about good character, we are also practicing the behaviors of good character. So for example, when we have discussions and do activities, we're practicing what it looks like to be respectful, collaborative, cooperative, inclusive, and kind. And then we asked, what does it mean to behave like this in a group activity? And some of the answers were along the lines of everyone gives ideas, don't take over, don't be too loud so you disrupt other groups. Then they prepared their skits for about 10 to 15 minutes. Prior to the performances, we gave another behavior reminder, but this time about audience behaviors that are appropriate and respectful. So being quiet, engaging, watching, listening, applauding, and how that also relates to character. This is all in an effort to continuously apply the lessons to the classroom. After each skit, the performing group asked the audience to guess the character traits, and then they showed their poster. And that ends Lesson 1. See the next video on this playlist for Lesson 2.